Hello folks, and welcome back to the channel. Together with these great partners, we are able to bring you quality information to help you reach your whitetail habitat goals quicker but more proficiently. Northwoods Whitetails, Plot Doctor, Harper Growing Solutions, Scent Thief, Real Wood Productions, Ace Hardware of Harrodsburg, Kentucky. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, I surely appreciate your support. If you're a repeat subscriber or repeat viewer of the channel, surely appreciate your support over the last several years. Guys, we're going to start this off with a very important message behind this one. So with that, that's a direct connection to you guys. For the last 2 years, my #1 video each year has been on this topic that we're going to talk about today. The #1 video that gets the most response, the most people that reach back out to me, the most views, the most shares on our channel is this: Why Rye? Right? So this year, the title is Why Rye 2023. So I encourage you to go back and touch on or look at those past videos, guys, and it really creates a good mindset with you just how important rye really is. So to start that out, right, #1, we're not talking about rye grass, right? Rye grass has a place in the world. It's not in the whitetail world. It's not in your food plots. So make sure when you hear the word rye, the #1 thing that you want to focus on is cereal rye, winter rye. You want that cereal rye, bigger, taller, stemmier rye, not ryegrass that's in your lawn. So remember that. Huge, huge piece of the puzzle. So why rye this year in your food plotting programs? Why rye in your food plotting programs for the fall planting in 2023? Right now across the country, there's a lot of food plotting going on in the whitetail woods and across the entire whitetail range. And I think a lot of folks are using rye, but I also think there's a lot of folks overlooking why rye is so important. So here we go, guys. The #1 reason on the list of many, no particular order, but the first thing we're going to talk about is why rye in 2023, the fall food plotting. The attraction for your fall food plot this season. Guys, rye is a huge attraction. Rye is the workhorse behind your food plot programs. It can save a food plot. It can make a food plot, right? It can make or break a food plot, meaning #1, let's start there. Very attractive, very lush, very, very green. Could be, if you're in certain parts of the country, could be the only thing in a lot of, without spending a fortune on a lot of, lime and fertilizer situations. It could be the easiest thing to plant, could be the easiest things to pack in. It grows in the back of your truck sometimes, guys. It's probably one of the easiest ways to plant a food plot is the success of rye. The attraction part comes into it is because it's very palatable. It's very digestible. The deer seek it. But with that being said, guys, unlike clovers, alfalfas, your brassicas, there's a list that I could go down of plants that when deer eat them lip high in your food plots, they're gone. They're not growing back. They're not coming back. Guys, rye is not that situation. You can release the deer herd on your food plots. They will mow it off and it will rebound. It will come back. So not only because it's doing such good above the ground, but it's very, very attractive because it's able to create that rootstock underneath the ground, doing great things below the surface, and it keeps rebounding. So very attractive. So that's the first thing. Very attractive going into this season. Don't overlook it if you want to do a standalone rye or you're implementing rye into blends, it's very, very attractive. Number two that we'll talk about is next spring. Your food plots that you're going to plant this fall, if rye is incorporated in those, that is the first thing that's going to green up across the entire whitetail range. It's the first thing that's going to green up in the spring. You cannot, there is nothing out there that you can plant sooner in the spring that'll green up quicker than rye that was planted in the fall of the previous year. Why is that so important? It's so important to have that availability, to have that rye. If you're a turkey hunter, it makes a great spot to turkey hunt, right? Great strutting zones. The turkeys in the spring love a new, low, fresh stand of rye, right? Great turkey hunting. But what it also does when it's tied to the whitetail world, guys, is it's helping the deer rebound from that harsh weight loss that they go through from that harsh rut all over the country. It doesn't matter if your rut is in November, if your rut's in January, they need our help early spring rebounding from that weight loss. So that is a huge step, because it's the first thing. It's going to green up quicker than your woods are going to green up. It's going to green up quicker than your vegetation, your browse, anything that is helping them reach those requirements. It's the first thing that's going to green up. I've even seen it green up under a foot of snow in the state of Michigan, where they're digging through that. They expose, they're digging through the snow on your food plots. They expose these patches all across your food plot. And, a week later you come back and there's these big green spots all over the food plots. Like, what in the world? And, you might get some 40 degree days and the rye is growing. It will germinate and grow down to 37 degrees. And I've even heard that it's been tested and proven that it actually grows and germinates way lower than that. So huge piece, having that that stewardship part of it that comes in, doing our part, that whatever we can do to help them deer rebound. Because the healthier that you can get that buck, not only the bucks, but the deer in general, right? Healthy does make healthy fawns are healthy bucks, right? It's all tied together. But with the bucks, just picking on them, the quicker we can get them to rebound, the healthier we can get them, the quicker that they're able to start putting more of that emphasis into antler growth than they are into rebounding and rebuilding from what they lost, up to 30% of their body weight, right? So that is the number two. The importance of number two is the first thing to green up next year, spring of 2024. The number three thing, guys, probably the most important to me because of my food plotting strategies that I do and teach here on the channel. The reason that rye is so important this fall in your food plotting strategies is to have that material next spring, after it rebounds the deer, after it feeds the turkeys, after it keeps growing. It's suppressing weeds, great weed suppressor. Rye will outperform anything because it's able to get, it's able to start growing sooner. So it grows all spring long. Deer are eating it, turkeys are eating it, but it just keeps rebounding. It keeps feeding, right? Then after that pressure comes off, after your browse and your leaves and everything, or spring green up happens, it just explodes. It takes off. So you have 3, 4, 5 foot stand of rye going into around that Memorial Day weekend, right? The end of May. April or end of May in most parts of the country. You have this big, beautiful, weed-free, tall stand of rye. Why is that so important, right? If you're doing the regenerative ag or you're doing this no-till approach that we speak of, you want to do whatever you can possibly do to get that incorporated in this fall, to have that for next spring. Because I'm going to zoom here on the bottom of this, guys, and I'm going to talk about this. A pure stand of rye in the spring is less weeds, but it's the perfect stemmy material that you need to make this porous, breathable If this is the tall standing rye, right, and then this is a cross section of it. If we were to look at it when it's flat, you're looking down in, and the white would represent what is the ground, right? The ground that you're seeing through that, so it's not an open ground. We've got this rye as our plot armor on top of that dirt that is acting as that moisture barrier, right? It's collecting moisture, it's keeping moisture, it's keeping our plots protected. It's that plot armor. It's keeping our moisture right there, right at the top of the ground. So important, keeping the plots cool and keeping everything alive, keeping that good thatch layer that we need to not have exposed dirt. The second cross section here that we'll talk of, guys, is the situation that I had this year on some of the plots where I bought the bin run rye, not certified rye. So never buy rye that isn't, most of your rye that's going to be in your blends, like our blend from Northwoods Whitetails, our whitetail driven fall blends has certified rye in that, certified cereal rye in that. Never go and let any mill across the country talk you into buying uncertified or bin run rye, because what happens is it's probably going to have a lot of inert and weed matter in that before they clean that out. Some of that's not going to regenerate at all with the rye, but what you're going to have, guys, is it's not going to give you the big beautiful stand of pure rye that we're looking, and you're going to get a bunch of weeds and everything else. Now you've got a thicker mat, you've got a broadleaf in there like I had this year, but this is a compound issue that I've had going on for a couple of years because I used old hay fields and stuff when I was first here to get this process started, knowing I was going to have to kind of open that up a little bit to make that, let it breathe. And this is the year that I chose to do that. But you're going to have, if you don't have a good stand of rye here to lay that down, you're going to have too thick of a weed mat, a compression mat, and it's not going to let eventually when it breaks down, it will come back, but you're going to have this roller coaster effect going on with your food plotting programs. Guys, here's a testament. Every plot that I have on the farm here, and we use this property as a test, right? But as a research facility, but every plot that I've got that my stand of rye every year, I've got a food plot that I call the back 40, and that rye stand is 3, 4, 5 foot tall. A beautiful looking rye crop. That field will always outdo the rest of my food plots that aren't that beautiful with rye stands. So the ones that are your greatest rye stands are going to be your greatest food plots that you're putting that summer blend into, crimping it down, you're drilling into it, crimping it down, putting that over your seeds, and you're having that availability to use that as the plot armor. That food plot is going to outperform any of your other ones. So there are 3 reasons there, guys, that I stress why rye is so important. Now there's many things that we could talk about. The good quality soil that you're building underneath the ground, that good root base that's promoting soil health, promoting that microorganisms, promoting to keep the soil alive. There's nothing out there, guys, that your brassica roots, your corn roots, your soybean roots, all that stuff gives up. Rye doesn't give up. It's the backbone of your food plotting strategies because it's such a great tool below the ground and above the ground. So remember that. Don't overlook rye. Don't overlook the power of rye. This is why. You always hear that, but these are the reasons why I say it's so important in your fall food plot planning strategies, because there's so much more than just what you're getting out of it this fall. It's going to jumpstart your food plotting success for the following spring, year after year after year. Before you know it, your food plots will be giving you soil samples like mine are giving me on the property here, where food plotting I was told that couldn't be done because the soil was junk. Big, beautiful, luscious, dark colored dirt. All relates back to why rye is so important. Thanks, guys.